haven't had a chance to sit down and chat with me, we'll get that chance. But the reason we're doing this today is I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about gaming in general. If you have any questions about games, I'll be more than glad to answer them. If you have any questions about gaming on YouTube, if there's any aspiring YouTubers or Twitch streamers out there, I'll be more than glad to talk about that. If you want to talk about the apocalypse, you probably don't want to get me started because I have a lot to say about that. So feel free to ask. Or you have any personal questions about life or anything else. For those of you who notice, I am slightly smaller than I was in the last Retropalooza. I recently got gastric bypass surgery. I'm currently down a little over 100 pounds from my starting weight for pre-surgery stuff, and I'm 140 some pounds from the biggest I ever was. It sucks to have lost a teenage girl already and still have an entire fat guy to go, but I am pretty satisfied with the progress, and I'm feeling a lot better. So don't feel afraid to ask any questions about that. You know, I tweeted. We recently lost a large comedian by the name of Rafi May. We lost him this last week. I think he passed on Friday. 45 years old, and you know, I'm 43. So that's a heck of a wake-up call for someone like me, and I'm glad that I'm making the decisions that I'm making. And so I'm a big advocate, not necessarily for the surgery, because that is one way to lose the weight, but for those of you who don't take your health too seriously, I'm more than glad to answer any questions about that stuff too, because, you know, and I say all the time, there's a lot of fat people and there's a lot of old people, but there's not a lot of old fat people, so I hate to see Ralphie pass, but I'm sure and not eager to join him anytime soon, and I hope you guys aren't either. So, any questions? Anybody want to talk about anything? All right there, right in the middle.
What streaming programs would you recommend and mics for beginners?
I used to use XSplit pretty exclusively, but XSplit is pretty buggy from time to time. Their code is not perfect. OBS is pretty good, open broadcast software, and I think I use it almost exclusively for everything now. I use it for creating thumbnails. I use it for capturing my YouTube videos with web camera. I use it for just about everything. So OBS is easily the best software on the market. And the best part about it is it's entirely free, and it's perfect for streaming to YouTube, Twitch. If you ever wanted to dual stream, it gets a little more complicated than that. Like you're trying to stream to 2 different sources. OBS can't do that yet, but otherwise, yeah, OBS is an easy choice there. What about right there?
Me?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the show, The Amazing World of Gumball?
I have heard that recently they may have featured a parody of my Star Wars review. Is that true? Is that what you're about to bring up?
Yeah.
I can't believe that. That looked exactly like me. I was like, hey now, come on. I want a royalty check for that now. Come on. I actually never watched that show before, but those who don't know, The Amazing World of Gumball clearly took an inspiration out of the page. There's another movie called Chicken Run, I've been told also. Has anybody ever seen that scene in Chicken Run that looks a lot like me? Those people need to pay me, dang it. Whether, you know, when you're a big guy, everybody, they make that comparison to every other big person, right? You look like Chris Farley. I don't look anything like Chris Farley. You look like Gabe Newell. I don't look anything like Gabe Newell. But you get that comparison a lot. But that was a little too close for comfort. That was clearly me. Of course, I'm not that pink, but anybody else? Over right here.
We do a live Francis rant.
Oh, hey, guys. Can I talk to you for a second, okay? I've been playing Golf Story all weekend. Anybody played Golf Story on the Switch yet? That game's pretty good. Nobody's played that game? Are you kidding me? It's golf. It's old school golf. Where is the freaking idol in that game, okay? Literally, I've been 20 minutes on the same golf course looking for a freaking idol for these cavemen. I'm trying to bounce golf balls off these freaking turtles. And here's another thing, okay? All right? Okay, I got nothing. I got nothing. I will tell you, for a while, the surgery recovery was pretty interesting. For a while, that fire just wasn't in me. I don't know what it was. Like the Francis fire, I was just kind of like, I just feel cool and calm and relaxed, and life is pretty okay, and I'm just going to watch some Netflix, and then I played Cuphead. Oh my God, that game brought the Francis out, and I'll tell you what it was. I'm live streaming it,
and I got through World 1 without too much trouble, you know. But here's the thing: when I rented Ninja Gaiden as a kid, I didn't just push myself through that game. I got mad at it and threw it across the room. Okay, I took it immediately back to the video store. I'm like, no, this game is stupid. Ghosts and Goblins, more like crap, and screw that game. I'm not doing that to myself. I'm not doing that to myself. Okay, so when it came to Cuphead, I pushed myself through as much as I could, but I got to World 2 with Big Beppy the Clown, the stupid roller coaster clown thing. Why does that have 4 phases? Come on! And at some point, penguins are throwing baseballs at your head. Well, anyway, I literally became Francis for the first time since the surgery. And without even thinking about it, I'm like, "Let's shut up a bitch and clown, I got you!" I'm on a live stream on Twitch, and I realize I've almost broken my Xbox controller. I'm going to end up on live stream fails again. I need to get rid of this freaking game. And so I'm done with Cuphead now. Oh, but that game was good. Have anybody played it? Yeah. Anybody hate yourself for playing it? Because I do. Why did I do that to myself?
10 out of 10, best game.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I haven't unlocked expert mode yet, but it gets more so.
See, now that's the thing. If you were good, so okay, all right, okay. So I like to talk about controversial topics. So that's one of the controversial topics about Cuphead this season, right? You know, there's a lot of people who like accessibility in games, right? And so let's look at the recent Star Fox game by Nintendo. They put a mode in that game. I think someone's called it baby mode because you could literally not die if you turned on that mode. And it allowed you to play the new Star Fox game, which I think very few of us played because it was not very good. But it allowed you to play that game without actually having any real talent or whatever. The game pretty much played itself. And I think a lot of journalists right now like that. And I get that. I like the idea of being able to see all the parts of the game, even if you can't get good. But at the same time, I don't take it personal that Cuphead is too hard for me. And I don't take it personal that a lot of you guys in this game are like, I don't see why he thinks that game is hard. It's not that hard. I don't understand how we got to this point where difficult video games is an identity crisis for some journalists. What's happening? It's okay that other people, okay, there's your phrase. It's okay that other people are good at games, okay? You don't have to be, all right? You're good at other stuff. Like, well, not journalism, I'll tell you that. You are bad at that. But maybe fashion, I don't know, something like that. But I don't know. I don't take it personal that other people are good at video games. I don't think that's something you should be able to do. And I like the fact that we can design video games for every demographic, right? You know, there's Candy Crush for, you know, the casuals, and there's Cuphead for the not so casuals, and then there's Bloodborne for the people who hate themselves. Man, that game. Ooh, I'm still mad about that one. Oh no, what? You're the worst kind of person? See, now that I take personal. Now I know how the journalists feel. Oh, okay. All right, next question. How about right here, Mario Hat?
Hello again. I talked to you yesterday and took a picture with you. But so a question about gaming and YouTube in general. How hard is it to put your voice out and be able to get popularity on YouTube without having to be one of those people who has to like promote their channel and stuff, like as a beginner YouTuber?
You know, I mean, especially when you're beginning, self-promotion is just kind of accepted, right? I mean, you know, every YouTuber ends with, hey, don't forget to like, click, and subscribe, Juggies, keep it rigid, right? It's part of the process. I've never done much self-promotion myself, and I just always try to target like the viral stuff and let it do its work, right? Just try to come up with something that people are going to share. And it doesn't work if you're smashing an Xbox and then you look up and go, hey, by the way, don't forget to click subscribe and like and hit the for my formula. And apparently you can still get there. I think it's possible. I'd say probably the most difficult thing with creating content on YouTube, and especially when it comes to gaming content, I think, people are very vocal about what they like and what they dislike. We have a lot of people who are very into the things that they're into, so you can get a lot of pushback, and you can get a lot of people who disagree with your opinions, and And that's always part of the thing. I always try to do, I know I'm kind of famous for it, and a lot of people call me wishy-washy for it, but I try to stay objective and try to show both sides of a thing. And recently I've taken a nod and some advice from Philip DeFranco, which is show both sides, but then offer your opinion, you know, and then try to drive home how I personally feel about something towards the end. But nobody likes that. Nobody likes objectivity. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes your personal opinion. You're always going to get pushback from it. But I say, especially in this weird world of ours, the mass majority of people will never know who you are. They won't know that you existed. They don't care. There's 7 billion people in the world, and the mass majority of them will never know either of us existed. A handful of people will know that we exist, though, and some of them will hate us, and they will dislike us very much. But a good number of people will love us. And I think when you concentrate on the people that love you, you are doing life right. If you celebrate the people that you love and the people that love you, that is the coolest way to do it. That's the best part about YouTube, is coming to a room like this and being in a room with people that actually give a crap that I exist. Oh, thank you. But it's very YouTube can be an isolating job. And you're talking to a guy who shut himself in for 7 years. I mean, I played EverQuest every day, so that's kind of like leaving the house. But and then World of Warcraft after that. Boy, that was a good game. That was some good years. But I didn't leave the house. And so YouTube is especially isolating. It was even more isolating than that sometimes. And every YouTuber I talk to about it, they talk about that, how isolating it is to sit in that room and film all day and edit all day. And even people who work with a team, sometimes they still feel very isolated, especially if they're the head of that team. And stuff like this, man, spending some time with you guys today. I don't know if you guys could possibly understand how rewarding and recharging it is, but that's why I have not missed a Retropalooza since the first time Jay asked, and I don't think I'll miss one come hell or high water, because it's without a doubt the best con. All right, right here.
Yeah, what's your opinion of the new Magic the Gathering X1 set?
Pirates and dinosaurs. How can you not like this set? I don't know what is happening in Magic, but
Yeah.
a lot of Magic the Gathering fans in here. People played at some point. As you guys know, I played that game on a weekly basis for 24 years, since 23 years, since 1994. January of 1994 is when I bought my first starter pack. My first booster pack was a pack of antiquities. So I've been playing for a while, and I still just cannot get enough of that game. Though I will tell you, Eternal on my iPad has been given it a run for its money. But yeah, the newest set is filled with pirates and dinosaurs and merfolk, green merfolk, flying green merfolk. What is happening at design at that place? But it's a great set. I love it. It's really worth checking out. Right here. Yep.
Thank you. You may have been asked this question before, but I find it. Basic question: when you go into streaming, or perhaps even gaming journalism for that matter, you have to turn a hobby into your job.
Oh yeah.
And that could end up killing the hobby underneath. So how do you handle, or how do you do the following? Keep your love for games while making games your job at the same time.
I think for me, and I think a lot of people I've talked to in the gaming industry, I think if you're playing the games that you love and you're talking about the games that you love, that you're passionate about anyway, and if you're truly passionate about gaming, I mean, I eat, sleep, and breathe gaming since I was very young. My mom put an Atari 2600 in front of me, and I was either the smartest thing she ever did or the dumbest thing she ever did, but that created a lifelong obsession. And so for me, even if I wasn't doing it as a job, I would still be reading the news every day and consuming it and complaining about it to anybody who would listen anyway. And so I think for the people that are truly successful at gaming journalism or YouTube or Twitch streaming or anything like that, it's a passion for them, right? And if you're passionate about it, no matter how much it becomes a job, it can't kill the passion. I really truly believe that. Now, don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I play a game that I feel like I don't necessarily want to play, but my streamers want to watch me play. Like PUBG, every once in a while, I'm just like, I'm so tired of this game, but they love to watch it. Or I'll push myself through a game that I want to review, but I don't necessarily feel passionate about. And it's work, but it sure beats the other jobs I've had, working security at the the university or or washing dishes in a Mexican restaurant. And so when I hit that grind, I'm just like, at least I ain't washing dishes. At least I'm not scraping refried beans off of dishes right now. So this is a much better job. Let's do this out of the room. How about right here, Nintendo 64 shirt?
So have you played the Octopath Traveler demo?
I have not, and I have a weird thing with demos for games I know I'm going to buy, and I know I'm buying that game, so I have refused to play it. It's literally on here. I can show you right now. I've installed it just in case I ever get weak, but I have not played it. Is it good?
I really love it. So.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the game, and I know I'm going to play it, and I know I'm going to buy it, so I refuse to play the demo because I don't want to spoil anything for myself. Right there.
I was wondering if you have been talking to Jesse lately and talking about any series that are going to be coming up soon.
I do know a little bit, but he would not appreciate if I were to spoil anything. But yeah, we talked for the first time since my surgery just the other day, and I think we're on the phone for 2 hours. I was on the phone with him when he found out he won the Streamy Award for the documentary. Round of applause for that doc, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Wow. I will tell you, that dude is legitimately like crazy. In a very good way, a very positive way. He is, without a doubt, the most passionate YouTuber, and I've met them all at this point. I mean, from DeFranco to Markiplier to Jack, you name it. But they are, I've never seen anyone as passionate about their job, as deeply embedded in it. When we work together, he's a difficult person to work with in a lot of ways because he's so protective of his storylines, he's so protective of his audience, he's so protective of the juggies. And, you know, when we were hanging out together, my wife would take a snap and she'd want to share it on social media. And he's like, well, you know, here's the thing, that doesn't really fit in with the story we're telling right now. So if you were to release that, it would, you know, it would knock somebody out of the moment. And so he's a tough person to work with, but in a very good way. I admire him, I think, highest of all YouTubers. Nobody's doing narrative on YouTube anymore. It's so frustrating. You know, everybody's doing reality television. I do it, you know, I like to be very personal and be myself. Jesse's one of the very few people in the world who is never himself, and I love that about him. And also, it's weird because when you're with him in real life, he's never himself. He is a method actor. Yeah, he's always, even when you are in the same room with him and you're talking about the scene you're about to film, he's still a method actor. I mean, he was Isaac the last time I was with him, and he was annoying. He's so annoying. He's like, I hate Isaac. The Devil Within series was easily,
I went to VidCon last year, and I went up to him, and I said, hey, Jesse, can I get a picture? He said, that's not me. And at that point, I wasn't watching his videos, like, because I was taking a break from YouTube for a while.
Right. Yeah, and trust me, it's disorienting when you call the guy every once in a while and you're expected to talk to Jesse and you get Isaac and you're like, oh, son of a bitch. Or more recently, the creator. Oh, that's the worst character.
I don't really like him.
Nobody likes him. I don't even think Jesse likes him. I think that's the point, though. I think we're supposed to hate the character. If you guys don't know, we're talking about McJuggernuggets. If you never checked out his YouTube channel, start with the playlist, the Psycho series. And I will tell you, I hate that kid because he did what I did just 10 times better, and it makes me feel really bad about myself. Who else? How about, let's see, anybody in the back? Let's go to the back here. Right there, blue shirt, yeah?
I got a PC and a Switch. Would you recommend the Xbox One or PS4 and why?
I think, okay, so this is a weird question. I think whenever you're choosing a gaming console, you look at two major aspects. Because here's the thing, if you care about graphics, you'll probably buy a PC, right? Because that's where the best graphics are. So if you're not going to pick a console, I think, based on graphics. You're going to pick it on two things: exclusives and where your friends are. That's where I think you should pick a console, right? Whatever exclusive game they have. I think the PlayStation definitely has the better exclusives this time around, though the Xbox One has some pretty damn solid ones. The Forza Horizon series is easily one of my favorites. Cuphead is amazing, but it's also on PC. But we use our Xbox more than we use our PlayStation because it's a really good multimedia machine. It's kind of like Apple TV or any of those other smart television built right in. Like and so I find myself buying a lot of games on the Xbox just because I don't want to swap over to the PlayStation. I think either one. You really should pick based on which exclusives you want to play, and then of course I guess the Xbox One X is coming out, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it's the equivalent of a PC of about 4 years ago, but for a console, I mean, that's the most powerful console to ever be produced. We're talking 7 teraflops or whatever. I don't even know how they gauge consoles for some reason. I don't know why they do that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm picking up an Xbox One X, but we have them both. I think the ideal, right, is I think the ideal setup is PC gaming with a Switch in your pocket. I think that's the way to be. But then, yeah, based on consoles, you got to go on the exclusives and where your friends are. How about right here?
Yes. So speaking of the Switch, there are two titles that I'm extremely excited about that I never thought would ever make it to the Switch because Nintendo's been going away from third party. Doom and Wolfenstein 2. How do you feel about that?
I'm absolutely glad to see third party finally working with Nintendo. And that's what I said. I think when you talked about this last year, I said that that's what the Switch has to do. They have to move units, and if they move units, they have no choice but to work with them, right? If they have an install base of several million units, they're going to work with them. I don't know what it was. The Wii U, I mean, I didn't like the concept of two screens. I only have two eyes, and they point in the same direction all the time. So it's really hard for me to do that. But the Switch is just brilliant technology, and it's a brilliant concept. A lot of people don't realize NVIDIA did it first. They tried to do it with PC gaming. This is basically just a modified NVIDIA Shield, but just a brilliant concept. And of course, it took Nintendo putting their brand on it and making it their own to make it a popular device. But now that it's popular, every company is going to have to work with Nintendo, and I'm so glad to see that happen because we need that competition in the gaming space. And even though Nintendo continues to be draconian with how they treat YouTubers and streamers, they recently, I don't know if you heard about this, but recently they banned their own partner channels who are dedicated to exclusively doing Nintendo content are not allowed to stream Nintendo content. What? I've dedicated my entire YouTube existence to you and I can't stream your games? What? I don't know. They're very draconian, but they're still my favorite company, easily. And they still make the best games. Am I wrong? But yeah, very excited to see third party finally in that position. They're going after that almighty Nintendo dollar.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anybody? Red shirt.
So I saw recently you've worked with Eric from Internet Comment Etiquette.
I love the guy. Everybody here know Internet Comment Etiquette? Yeah. Hey, if you're unfamiliar with the guy, let me give a big shout out to him. He is easily one of my favorite YouTubers. And if you allow me, I'll let you ask your question, but let me tell you a fun story with him. He wanted to do that collaboration. And I will warn you, it's fairly mature content for the most part. So there's alcohol references, things along that line. And but he has got a sense of humor like nobody else. He is one of the funniest people in the world. If you don't know this, he was actually in an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Big fans of that show here? Yeah. I hope so, yeah. Well, he actually worked on the set for that show and worked with like the DVDs and stuff like that. Anyway, he wanted to do this collaboration. We did a YouTube 911 where I needed help because of the bad comment section, so I needed help with getting the etiquette correct. And I'm like, all right, well, let's collab on Thursday. So we hop on Skype, and 2.5 hours pass, and we've done nothing. We haven't even talked about the collaboration because that dude is just the funniest dude in the world. And so I hang up on Skype, and I'm like, all right, let's do it next week. And then next week we get on the phone, or we get on Skype, and 3 hours pass, and we haven't done it. And that's the hardest collaboration I've ever done in my life. I put 20 hours into it. It only took 15 minutes to film the actual video. The rest of it was just listening to Eric. He's like showing me old home movies and stuff. And it was the best 20 hours of my life. Every once in a while, I'm just like, man, I'm just going to call that guy and just laugh. But he's one of the funniest people in the world, so really get into his content. But yeah, what's your question?
My question is, what is he like off camera?
Absolutely hysterical. I've never. He really does like to imbibe the stuff that he likes to imbibe. If you watch his videos, you'll know. He definitely likes to drink, and he likes to get into some of the other stuff. But he is hysterical. I have never, Jack's films, I've talked to him in real life. He's super funny. And most of the YouTube comedians really are. When you get them in that spot, they're still pretty funny. But Eric is just never off. I've never seen that guy off. We hung out with him at VidCon last year, right after the pineapple haircut. You guys don't know this, he did a Kickstarter. This is the funniest thing Eric ever said to me, I swear. He did a Kickstarter making fun of Kickstarters. And he said he was going to make a short film called Eric Drinks Wine and Gets a Haircut. And so he got like $5,000 from just his fans to make this stupid video. And he had a stretch goal. If it reached like 4,000, it would be a period piece, okay? And so one night I'm on Skype with Eric, and he's just laughing, and I'm like, what's so funny? I don't even know what you're laughing at. And he goes, hey dude, you know present time is a period. I could just do that. And then he did it! That's what he did! He's a madman! But the craziest thing about it is the actual video is like a zero production value, worthless, just throwaway, where he gets a pineapple haircut. And the haircut's hysterical. I'm sure it's like a $500 haircut. They spent like 4 hours on it. But he did all these, I'm sorry, the Kickstarter's delayed videos, and there's like 50 or 60 minutes of delay videos, and they're better than anything he could have produced anyway. There's some point where him from the future comes to visit him after he's done the haircut video, and he's like warning him about the future, what happens if he ever does the video, and they have to go fight a giant gorgon. I don't know. He's got to be the most creative guy on the YouTube. I have a man crush, if you haven't picked up on that. Him and McJuggernuggets, I think, probably two of my favorites right on top of the list. Right here.
I was curious, did you see the latest iDubbbz video against Rice Gum?
Oh, okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. Are fans of Ian in here, I'm pretty sure, right? Okay. So, iDubbbz creates some pretty edgy content. And I know that for the most part, I try to keep a family-friendly channel, and I try to stay a family, not so much on stream, and if you've ever watched one of my YouTube or my Twitch streams, I'm so sorry. I really don't know what happens when the person I am on YouTube is the person that I want to be. The person that I am on Twitch is the person closer to who I am. You can ask my wife every once in a while. We're just watching Netflix, and I look over and I'm like,
hey honey, the pee-pee-poo-poo monster's coming for us.
She doesn't know what any of this means, but at this point, after 7 years, she's like, yes, he is, honey. He really is. Can we watch another episode of Black Mirror?
I don't know, he's going to get you.
The point that I was making is that I am a big fan of Ian's sense of humor. Not necessarily the way he uses certain words that I don't particularly feel have a place in person's vocabulary. My personal vocabulary, those are words that you feel like you want to use. That's up to you. But my personal vocabulary, and those words still make me fairly uncomfortable if you know the words I'm talking about. But his Content Cop series is just doing a service to YouTube. It really is, and I think. I'd never really known much about Rice Gum prior to the whole Gabby incident, and that's the first time I'd heard of the guy, and I had no clue that he'd gotten up to the stuff that Ian exposes people for. I will tell you this, Ian, please do not do a Content Cop on me. I can't handle it. I will fall apart. I am scared of you. Please leave me alone. I will die. I don't know even what you've got on me. It'd be 30 minutes and boy, that guy is fat. But yes, I am. Oh. But yeah, it's a great series, and I think I don't know, like I think what he does is so different from like what Keemstar does, or Scarce does, or even really DeFranco. I think DeFranco does news, right? And he'll talk about the drama that is news, and whereas Keem and Scarce more talk about drama for the sake of drama, just for drama's sake. But what Ian doing is mostly about making a YouTube a better place, right? Same as H3H3. I think Ethan's main goal is to make YouTube a better place, and I like it when Ian does that. I could do it without those N and F words as much, but but still, it's a sense of humor. Right here.
So, like you alluded to earlier, YouTube's ad revenue sharing is broken right now.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any ideas or a way to compromise on that?
Well, so all right. Here's Objective Boogie. We'll be Objective Boogie first. We'll take a page from DeFranco. We'll be Objective first, and then I'll offer my opinion. So YouTube is in a very strange position. And I go back to something that someone told me at my very first VidCon. A representative of YouTube said to me, Boogie, we are a giant, and we have tens of thousands of creators under our feet. And if we take a misstep, you're going to talk about one of the biggest layoffs in history, because tens of thousands of people are going to lose their job. And now it's hundreds of thousands of people, 100,000 people 5 years later. So if they screw up, and the ad people pull out, and they already have very little confidence in the internet. Jim Sterling made a point the other day. Advertisers love to advertise during American Idol because they feel like the American Idol audience is very valuable. But they don't like to advertise during WWE because they don't feel that, turn off your phone, okay. But they don't feel that WWE is a good place to advertise. And so for every $10 they spend on American Idol, they might spend $1 on WWE. Well, they think the internet is much lower than WWE, so every $1 they spend on WWE, they spend about a dime on the internet. Because they don't trust that we're actually in watching the advertisements. They don't trust that we are susceptible to it. They just don't trust the market. And YouTube has been there for a very long time. You talk to some of the biggest networks on YouTube, and they'll tell you, if I was on television, we'd be 10 times richer. We'd be 100 times richer. We'd make 100 times what we're making on YouTube. And so the confidence has always been very low. And then you have, PewDiePie, Felix, who I love you, brother, but you stuck your foot right down your throat, and it damages us all when you do. And then you have the Wall Street Journal and I forget the other newspaper that broke the story about advertisements appearing on controversial content, and so that eroded confidence even more. And so YouTube is in this interesting space where if you want to reach the people in this room, I imagine most of you don't watch a lot of live television. And if you watch television, you're probably watching on DVR, but I bet a lot of you watch a lot of YouTube, and you guys are the most coveted demographic there is. You are 18 to 35. They need you. They need you so bad. And YouTube is in this position where if they really understood the power that they have, that the 18 to 35 market is on YouTube and nowhere else, that they would bend over backwards. And they would break the advertisers. Look, if you want to continue to sell Coke for the next 20 years, you have to come to us and demand whatever price they want. But YouTube is afraid to do that because they don't want to crush me in the process. They don't want to run the risk of stepping on the small creator. Unfortunately, they have. And we're going to be fine. We got a Patreon that if you would give some money to, we make about $800 from that. And then sponsors love to work directly with me. So, those of you who purchase a Loot Crate from time to time, you guys have paid my mortgage. Thank you for that. But not every YouTuber is as fortunate. Not every YouTuber has those connections, and not every YouTuber is in that situation. So I understand that YouTube needs to be careful. But they need to flex like rice gum, man. They need to show their muscle to those advertisement companies and the people that want to advertise, and to the 18 to 35 demographic, and say they are here, they are nowhere else. And yes, it would suck for Hank Green made a video about this and released it on Friday on Hank's channel. Those of you know Hank Green. It's 30 minutes long. It's definitely a very long video. But he mentions, it would suck for probably a couple quarters, but at the end of that, Coke would realize their sales have plummeted, and they're going to have to do something about it. So I don't know. On a personal level, I kind of hate what YouTube is doing, and it doesn't affect me. That's the weirdest part about it. I have great relationships with a lot of great sponsors, and you guys are willing to watch my gaming show, even though there's a sponsored spot in every one of them, and thank you for that. And you guys are helping me out during this apocalypse by doing that, so we're fine. But there's so many creators who I know are hanging up the hat at the end of this year. It's just not worth it for them anymore. So many smaller creators have had to give up the dream, and it stinks, man. I wonder if Walmart really knows that that's what I associate them with now. And I love Walmart. I live in Bentonville, Arkansas. I live in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's every person I know works for Walmart, but I have a negative association for the first time in my life with Walmart because they pulled out and cost some of my friends their jobs. Why? I can't understand. I don't know. Sorry. I'm real mad. But I'm real mad. I'm mad about all of it. I'm just so mad. I'm really Francis mad about all of it. I'm mad that YouTube won't flex. I'm mad that those advertisers are so terrified and just, and it's not even that they're afraid of objectionable content, because if you go to Jimmy Kimmel's video about Las Vegas, now I'm about to rant. I'm sorry. If you go to Jimmy Kimmel's video about Las Vegas, Buick sure loves to put their ads on that. Coca-Cola sure loves to put their ads on that. Pampers sure loves to put their ads on that. But Casey Neistat raises $250,000 for charity and talks about that, and they don't want to advertise on that. And it's not about the content, because if you tuned into CNN on the day of the Vegas shooting, I saw Pampers ad after Pampers ad after Pampers ad. It's not about the content, it's about the creator. It's about holding on to to what they have and flexing, right? To use that term again, it's about flexing their muscle to YouTube. And if YouTube doesn't, push back, then it's another 30 years of advertisers calling the shots, and we can't have that. All right, right.
How do you feel about annoying fandoms of things that you like?
That's an interesting point. So, all right, so I think I would wager a large number of us are Rick and Morty fans, right?
Yep.
And I'm a huge Dan Harmon fan. I've listened to Harmontown a few times. I loved Community, love everything he does, love Justin Roiland. I think he's an incredible voice actor, but his creative mind is amazing. All of the Channel 101 stuff and the Roiland TV stuff is just insane. House of Cosby's, anybody ever see that? You really, that guy's just a crazy person. I love them, and they're brilliant. But recently, Dan Harmon started talking about the Rick and Morty fandom and how he hates some of us, and that's weird. So I read an article talking about how a lot of things have bad fandoms. Let's say for example, an example they used in the article was Breaking Bad, and they said in Breaking Bad, most of us, hey, there's minor spoilers here. If you haven't watched Breaking Bad, I'm sorry, but you really should have at this point. But a lot of people watch Breaking Bad and we recoil in horror as we watch Walter become a monster, right? But there were some people who just thought that was a show about this cool guy taking over a drug trade. And that's supposed to be the bad fans, right? And, The Sopranos. About to spoil The Sopranos for you, but that was 1990, so you're going to be okay. There's a few people in The Sopranos who did not like to watch Tony grow as a person. They just wanted to see people get whacked, right? And that's supposed to be the bad fandom. And so Dan Harmon spoke out about Rick and Morty fans who make that show their identity, and how, we treat that show, we're protective of that show. I don't know that there's such a thing as a bad fandom. I don't know that I agree with that. I think art is subjective. I think you can watch Breaking Bad however the hell you want to watch Breaking Bad. I think you can watch The Sopranos however the hell you want to watch The Sopranos. It is up to you if what you like about The Sopranos is Tony learning to love his family and learning to get over the death of his mom, or if you just like to watch Big Pussy get drowned. It's up to you. It's up to, I think it's okay. And some of us like Rick and Morty a little too much, and I think that's okay. I think the fact that a bunch of people stood in line at McDonald's to try to get Szechuan sauce yesterday is okay. I think it's okay. So I don't know. I will tell you that I have a few fans who watch me just to hate me. I have people who tune into my videos just because they think I'm a fat piece of crap and they like to make fun of me. And I'm okay with that. I think that person has just as much right to consume whatever media I create as anybody else. So I don't know. It's hard for me to ever really judge anybody in that area. Right here.
Okay. What is VidCon like, and would you recommend it?
VidCon is very different from Retropalooza. It is very overwhelming. I think last year they had 35,000 people. And so, when you get to come to something like this, I'm going to spend as much time with you as I can. When we're at VidCon, I'm going to get about 8 seconds with you. This last year, when we went to VidCon, I don't know if I already told the story on stage, and I apologize if I did, but I did my autograph line, my picture and autograph line, and they do this lottery system. So you're not even guaranteed to get to see the person you want to see. You'll put your name in a list of 5 people, and you're going to get to see 2 of them. But my line had the maximum number of people in it. And so as I go through the curtain, the security person puts their hand on my shoulder and they say, well, your line is maxed out, so you have 30 seconds per person. That's really frustrating. And I think that's okay if your content is pretty surface level stuff, right? If you're just playing video games or you're just screwing around or whatever, but the stuff I talk about, a lot of us have a much more personal connection. And it's hard to feel that personal connection in 30 seconds. And some of you have some amazing stories to tell. Some of the stories you guys have told me this weekend, I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. And I'm so glad we had the chance to share it. So, whereas this is much more like hanging out with your friends, YouTube, or VidCon is a bit more of a circus. But I highly recommend it. It is one of the best shows in the world, and everyone is there, and it's fascinating. And it's real hard to meet the people you want to meet. But there's so many activities going on. It's fantastic. And I know last year's VidCon was very controversial. I got in so much trouble for so many different things. I couldn't believe how upset people were with me for treating a fellow person with respect. I can't believe I got in trouble for that. It's so weird to me. What did you think I was going to do when I met Anita Sarkeesian? Did you think I was going to be Francis, or did you think I was going to treat her with the same respect I treat all other human beings? My mother used me like a punching bag, and I held her hand as she died. What did you expect me to do to Anita Sarkeesian? I mean, anyway, sorry, that's a sore point. But yeah, VidCon is amazing. I would highly recommend it. That's the point that I'm making. Unless yeah, I'm playing a little weird. It's a little weird. Hi, right here.
Hello. I was just wondering, like, what the experience of being on like the H3 podcast is like, because they seem to have a really cool setup.
They really are. I'll tell you, Ethan is just as sweet in real life as he actually is in video. He puts on, like when the camera started rolling, he put on a little bit more of a show. He's a little more Ethan than necessarily. But he was just so nice to me and just so kind. But I'll tell you what really surprised me was Ela. And I always mispronounce her name, so I apologize. It's Ela, right? Not only the H is silent, right? So anyway, I've always known her as very sweet, but very shy. And I expected her to just be very shy in real life, and she is. But she was so sweet, it hurt. And so I was like, hey, do you guys want to hang out after this? And she's like, well, I got a thing at 7 o'clock, and I can't. And Ethan's like, well, yeah, we probably whatever. But I was like, well, I'll just get out of their hair. And I thought I was getting brushed off. So, and, you know, just it's fine. It's not a big deal. We're just here for the podcast. We're not best friends. But Ela grabs my hand, and she goes, I am so sorry that I have to go. And I do not mean it in any personal way. And she's like, please come back to the show. This is the best podcast we've ever done. Your stories are so amazing. Please come back. I genuinely mean that. And my heart like grew 4 sizes that day. I was like, oh, I can't believe I was being cynical just a few seconds ago. Because she is without a doubt the nicest person. And I know Ethan, again, can be fairly controversial, and I know what he does. I think some people view it as borderline, the cyberbullying thing, you know. I know for some people the line between Leafy and Ethan is gray, but for me it's a huge black line. It's a big, big difference. I think what Ethan does is, again, designed to better YouTube, where what Leafy does was to try to tank the entire format. So, how about right?
Imagine if Hollywood wanted to make a biographical movie about your life. Which actor should play you in?
Oh, can we dig up John Candy for that? That would be cool, man. Oh, I don't know, man. There's not a lot of heavy play. I'll do it. I'll do it, Hollywood. Call me. No, I don't know. That's a good one. What about how about Aaron Paul in a fat suit? Can we do it? How about Aaron Paul just as himself? Because I'm about as sexy as Aaron Paul, aren't I? Can we just get Gerard to do it? We got the same beard now. Let's get Gerard to do it. All right, who else? Right there.
I'm a fellow anxiety sufferer.
Hello.
And one of the things I do is watch YouTube. I'll watch you or martial arts exercise to help calm down. Is there anything you do to help with your anxiety?
Well, you know, it's funny. Every picture I've taken this weekend, I've had this switch in my front pocket. And I'm one of the few people that have pockets big enough to do this. My new shirts will not be able to do this. So it's one of the reasons I'm hanging on to my fat clothes as long as I can. But I have used video games as my stress relief from the very beginning. Very first time I ever got a hold of an Atari 2600. And it has been, once I was able to carry them in my pocket with my very first Game Boy, that has been my distraction technique. And you know, you'd be surprised. I mean, previously, before the advent of the cell phone and it becoming the most popular device in the world, I would have my Game Boy in my pocket. And everybody thought you were so rude for playing a video game in public or whatever. But I could explain it to them. I'm like, well, I have an anxiety disorder, and this is very calming for me. I mean, I even do it here at the show. Some of you talk to me one of those. But now that people are used to seeing people on a cell phone, whenever somebody sees this, like, hey, what is that? Is that a giant cell phone? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I got Facebook down here. Don't worry. This is just Facebook. But yeah, video games has been my major technique. And a lot of it for me is visual. Whenever auditory stuff actually worsens my anxiety. So Audible is nice, but a lot of the times when we're in a car, or if I'm listening to music or listening to a book, it makes me more anxious. But visual stuff does a really good job. That and Reddit. Reddit's all subcategory. I don't know, ever since I got my dog Sammy, I love that dog. But ever since we got that dog, now every time I see another picture of a dog, I'm just like, very calming. What do you use? I'm curious. Besides YouTube, anything else?
We have 4 cats, so that helps too.
Heck yeah, man. I did not. So many of you guys had said to me in the past, get an animal, get a pet, get an animal, get a pet, get a pet, get a pet. It'll help with anxiety. Get a pet, get a pet, get a pet. No, I have to walk it, I have to water it, I have to feed it, I have to pick up its poops. No, that's stressful. That's stressful. Why would I want that? God, was I wrong? You guys are so right. It was so stupid. But that dog is the best. One of the best things that ever happened to me. I think my wife and my dog in that order is exactly the 2 best things that ever happened to me, and then YouTube right below it. Because I think a lot of it has to do with the dog, right? I've had dogs that are just poop and pee machines. And this one is a poop and pee machine who barks all the time, but he has more personality than I know what to do with. And I'll tell you, this is how YouTube ruins you as a person. When my wife wanted a dog, I'm like, we're not getting a dog, we're not getting a dog, you don't want a dog. And then she showed me a picture of that dog, and I went, I could make him famous. Let's get that dog. I did meet Grumpy Cat once. I don't know if you guys are a big fan of Grumpy Cat. I don't know. But he was a very sad cat. I was very surprised. Like, I don't want that life for Sammy, because I saw him in the VidCon, he was like on a pillow, and he wasn't allowed to leave the pillow, and it was so tiny, and the owner was so good to it. But that's just not a healthy environment for a cat. He should be in your bedroom knocking shit off shelves, right? and he was just like, we posed for a photo, and I'm like, no wonder that cat is grumpy, man. This is not fun, because, rice is right there, dude. But still. All right, any other questions? How are we doing on time, by the way? I don't know how long we're supposed to go. Yeah, okay, good. All right, I don't want to be chasing us out of here. How about right here?
I'm curious, we're exactly the same age.
Yay.
So we grew up with the same stuff.
Yay.
I wanted to know what's your favorite retro console and favorite retro game is.
So here's one of the weirdest things. I talk about this at every Retropalooza, it seems like. Here's one of the weirdest things for me. I grew up playing all the games, so when it comes to like actually going back to play them, it's kind of disorienting for 2 reasons. First, I beat all the NES games. I beat all the SNES games for the most part. So going back to beat them again, I remember all of it. I don't remember most of my friends' names, and I don't remember my own phone number, but I remember every level of Super Mario World. I remember every level of Super Mario 3. I remember where every weapon is hidden in Final Fantasy. And so it's number 2, not only that, but when I go back to play them, they don't look the way I remember them looking. And it's so frustrating. I tried to go back to play Final Fantasy VII when it got released on PC, and I'm like, this isn't the game I played. Advent Children, now that looks like the game I played, but not this. And so it's really difficult for me to go back. So as far as retro consoles, it's hard to say. The one that had the biggest impact on me was easily, though, the NES. And I think if I had to pick, it's definitely that console. But Final Fantasy, man, what a game. And that was the first real RPG I really ever played, and it just created a lifelong obsession with them. And then, well, I guess original Legend of Zelda was more of an action RPG, but again, that was really the first RPG I ever played on top of that. And then Super Mario was so lifelike compared to the arcade cabinet that I'd seen, the Versus cabinet. And I'm like, I can't believe those graphics are available in my home. Oh my God, I'm like crappy black and white CRT TV. A little 13-inch piece of crap. But yeah, man, that NES to this day. And I did get the NES Mini, and I went back to play Final Fantasy, and I'm just like, oh, that game is exactly how I remember it. That's still as good as it was. And then I picked up the SNES, and I'm playing through Super Mario World. But I don't know. Retro gaming is tough for me because I lived through it once, so I'm more interested in the newer games at this point. But it is so funny because I've become such a hypocrite, because every once in a while I will play a new game, and I'll complain about the graphics. And I'm just like, man, these Watchdog graphics, they ain't as good as I thought they was going to be. But I used to play an Atari 2600 Go. That kind of looks like Pac-Man. Sort of. Pac-Man's just a disc, okay? It ain't that hard to draw, but they couldn't even do that. But it was good enough for me. I was like, oh, this is the best. All right, who else? Other question. Right here in front.
What was the worst game you played on the NES?
Oh, God. So there's this game, Solomon's Key.
Literally, oh God.
And I rented that game, and I hated myself because it was a Friday rental, and we know what a Friday rental means. You have that game until Sunday or Monday. That's your weekend. What a shitty weekend. You know, in that game, there are levels that you have to die to get the key. Did you know there are levels where you have to go back 10 levels to go ahead? Who invented that game? If you don't have a strategy guide for that game, you're not beating it. So, I hated that. It ruined my weekend. It was almost as bad as the weekend I rented Ghouls and Goblins or whatever. And it was like, why did they make, how do you lose an entire season? Armor in one hit? How is this thing? Anyway. So, fast forward to 20 years later or so. I'm 25 years old, and I go over to my friend Matt's house. And he and his little brother have an NES hooked up to their television. And in it and on is Solomon's Key.
Oh.
And I'm like, why? What? Why? What? And it's just paused. And it's been that way all day because they owned this game. They bought it as children and have been trying to beat it since 1987 to 1998. And this is just their obsession. They have literally a journal of what to do on each level. And I'm like, guys, do you know the internet exists? No, that would be cheating. That would be cheating. And I think the game has like 100 levels or so, and they're on like level 80 something. So that was my next weekend. I stayed at their house for I didn't bring a change of clothes. I had no intention of staying. We just slept in the floor and played that game in shifts. And I finally beat that game in 1998. And I despise it. It makes me throw up in my mouth every time I think about it. Stupid game. But I can say we beat that damn thing. All right. Do what?
What did the end in Solomon's Key look like?
If I remember correctly, it was just a splash screen congratulating you on being an idiot. Like,
that's
wow,
not very
we really
rewarding.
didn't think anybody's ever going to do this. Thanks for the $60. Here.
Yes, what would you say is your favorite animated cartoon?
Well, that's a tough question. I have a lot of trouble with favorites. There's stuff I like and stuff that I don't like. And it's hard to pick an all-time favorite. But up there in the list, I mean, Rick and Morty's probably a very recent favorite, but that's a recency bias. BoJack Horseman. Also, it's so funny. Me and my wife have been having the debate over the past couple weeks because Rick and Morty season, BoJack came out right in the middle of the Rick and Morty seasons, this latest season, BoJack. And I think she's more of a BoJack fan. I think Rick and Morty does comedy better, but I think BoJack does the I want to die after watching it each episode better. I'm just like, wow, this world is a crap hole, isn't it? But I think that's my genre. That or Aqua Teen Hunger Force, because why is that show like that? I'll tell you, one of my favorite experiences in my life was going to go see the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie, because I felt like a giant angry baby had beat me up and robbed me of $5. That was the worst experience of my life. I don't know why that movie was what it was. Have you seen the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie? I saw that in theaters. What is wrong with me? I stood in line. Well, I didn't stand in line. There was only 3 of us there, and I walked. So I can't. I do not recommend that movie by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I think I like the absurdist humor. But then when it comes to the existential dread of BoJack and Rick, so that's probably maybe one of those two. It's tough to say though. Right here.
You know, you mentioned earlier about you're okay with people watching your videos and insulting you, making fun of you.
Yeah.
But that's because now you know you're successful first started out, you had to start dealing with people and their mean comments on YouTube, like in the beginning? Obviously, that probably hurt a lot more than it hurts today. So how did you get through all of that?
Well, I've always been, I was about to say I've always been a glutton for punishment, but let's be honest, I've always been a glutton. But I've always been a glutton for punishment. And so, you know, man, I kind of walked through the fires of hell growing up, right? And so what can someone on the internet say to me that was just worse than an average day of my childhood? There's nothing you can say or do, right? You're just, big words, man. Hey, you should kill yourself because you look like a poopy. Okay, right? That's cool, all right? All right, 5 minutes? Okay. I always had, you know, a pretty strong will against that stuff. But I tell you what genuinely gets to me, I think the most is genuine, like, criticism, right? Like the guy who says to, hey, I don't like your content because you're so fat and looking at your rotten teeth makes me want to gouge my eyes out. You know what? My dog has more YouTube talent than me. I'd rather watch him fart than, you know, whatever. That's fine. That's fine. It's just funny. And it doesn't really mean anything to me. It's the guy who says, you know, you're just not as funny as you used to be. I really used to like to watch your stuff, but I really feel like you sold out. Like, that guy hurts. Because maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe I'm not as funny as I used to be. Maybe the way I shifted my content is not as fun or as cool as it used to be. You know, it's kind of, I don't know, that was the stuff that got me at the beginning, right? Like, you're not talented. Why do you have a YouTube channel? You don't belong here. You don't deserve here. And that harkens back to probably one of my favorite stories to tell. One of the worst stories is I always wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a comedian. I also wanted to wrestle in the WWE. But then I found out you have to do a lot of gym exercises for that, and I like TV and video games. So, so I took a lot of acting courses. And in college, my acting coach, he's like, man, you're a really good actor. You got a great voice. And I'm like, man, thank you. You ever thought about radio? I'm like, yeah, I did a little bit of Apple Shop over in Kentucky, and I did some radio ads and Boy Scouts and stuff like that. It's kind of fun. I like radio, but I really like acting. I love to be on stage. And he's like, hey, you got a body for radio.
Ouch.
And I'm like, what? And he goes, well, you're just not going to get the leading man roles, you know? And I'm like, well, John Candy does. He's funny, like Chris Farley's pretty funny, and he'll never die. So, you know, but that hurt, man. And so that, I think that's the criticism that really ever got to me. To this day, you know, I'm going to send you a box of poop to your house. Well, that's cool. I mean, we need fertilizer. Send it. And you should kill yourself. You know, because you suck. Yeah, I'm probably not going to. So I'm going to go watch TV instead. That stuff's fun. But it's the guys who can mirror what's in my own head, right? The genuine criticism, that's what gets you, right? And here's what I love about that, and especially you're right, now that I have that audience, but even at the beginning, you guys were there for me, even at the beginning. And I look back at Ray William Johnson, who I know a lot of people love to hate Ray, but right at the beginning of my YouTube career, second Francis video I ever made, he said, I don't know if this guy's faking it or not, but he's a genius. Well, that built my YouTube career. That built my self-esteem. That made me fight for the woman I married and fight for the career that I have and fight for you guys every day when it comes to this gaming industry. I take those compliments and I run with them. And I think that's what everyone in this room should ever do. I think you should pay attention to the people that love you, celebrate the people that love you, ignore the people who don't, because what little does that matter? Life is short, life is brutal. It will very frequently be an unhappy experience, even for the best of us, even for the most fortunate of us. Every once in a while, Bill Gates has to fire a chef or a gardener, and it makes him real uncomfortable, you know? And, you know, even Steve Jobs got cancer. So life is a brutal, messy ride, and you've got to concentrate on the people that you love and concentrate on the people that love you. And if you do that, life is a much better experience. So I hope you guys keep that in mind. All right, well, we should wrap it up. Good? All right, guys. I will head over to my booth.
Yeah, Boogie.
so I know they need this room. Do me a favor. I'm gonna head over to my booth in the
Best show
main
ever,
area.
guys.
If you want to get a picture, if you want to talk, I'll be there for the next hour or so.
This was totally worth it, folks. Best show ever. Boogie's an amazing guy. You know, I've subscribed to him for a real good reason. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And yeah, see you another time. Until next time, folks.